All right. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm Vanessa from Perth, Western Australia, and we have here the pleasure of Dr. Cecile in Melbourne, who is a GP and the founding member of the Filipino Australian Society of Medical Practitioners, which was started in 2013. And she has many qualifications. Qualified fellow or RACGP, which is Royal Australian College of General Practitioners 2010, and has finished your medicine in Davao.
Yes.
And did her BS Biology in Ateneo in Davao, and is a founder, very inspirational founder and business owner of Hampstead, as you can see in her backdrop there in Victoria. She's also a GP educator, supervisor, examiner, and I think that's it. And she's here to share her journey with us from the Philippines to Australia. So how it all started, please share away. Dr. Cecile, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Vanessa, for that very long introduction. Thank you. I hope I'm qualified to actually share my experience as a specialist GP in Australia, particularly in Melbourne. So my journey started, so I finished in Davao for my medical school, and immediately after internship and passing the licensure exam, I went into training in family medicine. So that was 3 years, and that's the tertiary hospital in Davao. So after finishing my training, my department asked me to stay on, so became the one of the junior consultants and eventually the training officer. And my plan was actually going to the US instead of going to Australia. So, but the Lord, they gave me a different path to actually go to. So I made several attempts going to the US. So first, like I was asked to, during my residency years, to present a paper in Florida, but because there was 9/11, I couldn't go. So, and then after that, I was offered a fellowship in University of California, but still, it was still like there's terrorist attack in US, so they're kind of strict in allowing doctors to go to the US. And then after that, so all right, they need nurses in the US. All right, I studied nursing. So I did that while I was practicing medicine. So doing my private practice, and then I did I think a 2 to 3 year nursing, and then passed my Philippine licensure exam, and I also passed my NCLEX. So I was ready to go, but again, there was no hiring of nurses during that time. It's like, all right. So one of my mentors, who was a former chairman in one of the hospitals in Davao, was already in Australia. So they were the first Filipino doctors that I knew who went into Australia. And so like, all right, Cecile, while you wait maybe for your visa, for your nursing visa to go to the US, let's just come here to Australia. So he introduced me to a Australian recruiter. So she sent me a contract, and in 1 week I got hired. It's like, oh, all right, this must not be true. Like, I haven't been to Australia, not familiar with Australia, but anyway, we're still waiting for that US green card. Let's just go to Australia. So I already had my IELTS from my NCLEX, so I was able to use it. So that's why it was so quick that maybe a couple of months I got my visa to work. So back then it was a different visa for medical practitioners. That was, I think, visa number 422. That's specific for medical doctors. So Australia back then in 2007 has a shortage of general practitioners. So my first work, I went to Queensland in Bundaberg. Wow. So before Christmas, I said like, let's just wait for 2008 to migrate. But it's like, we need you now. We need you by December. So all right, I just had a baby. My daughter, my daughter just turned just 1-year-old, and it's like, all right, let's just go there and see what's in Australia. Actually bought a return ticket just in case I wouldn't like Australia, because I have no idea where it's Australia. I don't even know the capital of Australia. So now I know it's ACT. So, and then, yeah, I got that work as a full-time general practitioner. So during that time, there was no AMC. There was no, for international medical graduates, or IMGs. So, and what the previous doctors who were there before me, they just said, look, you just need to renew your license and just make sure that, you know, you go into like, you know, seminars or whatever. But during that time, again, was not a very good time in medical and the medical field, special general practice. So I don't know if you've heard, Vanessa, of Dr. Jayant Patel. He was highlighted as what we call, he was one of the killer doctors, an IMG, butchered his patients. And that was the height of that time. So
I did not hear
he was from Bundaberg, where I am actually going. So I have no idea, like where is Bundaberg? I don't even know where Brisbane is. So we have to, so anyway, that was long story short. We arrived there, and yes, I work as a GP full-time under direct supervision. So no pesky, no OSCE, no nothing. So the first, I think, couple of months so I entered as a non-VR, so the VR meaning vocational registrant. So I have qualifications from the Philippines, but not yet recognized in Australia. So I have to have that assessed. So I'll be able to qualify to sit for the fellowship exam. So I was on direct supervision and worked. And while working, I was reviewing for exams. So during that time, you need to have at least 12 months Australian experience plus 3.5, I think, is it 3 years of a Australian equivalent experience from the Philippines. So I was just fortunate enough, after I actually finished residency, I did private practice. So my private practice for around maybe 5 years before I came to Australia. That's what it was, accredited only for 2.5 years. I had to wait to sit to the exam. So during that time, again, it's not AFRA, it was Queensland Medical Board. So you cannot work outside of Queensland. If you remember it, if you just work in the state you're registered. So if you have to move to another state, you have to actually be registered for that one. So just because of the advent of that doctor death, so they hatched now, yes, you need to sit the AMC. So that was 6 months after I arrived. And then so that's the requirement to enter into Australia and maintain your registration.
That's why it's changed.
Yeah. So that was the first one. And then I think because, you know, the medical boards were still unclear what to do, then they asked to do PESCI, which is the pre-employment, I think, clinical examination or something. So we were the first ones who actually did PESCI, which the actual exam, was really unclear because they don't know what to do actually. And then after that, it was under AFRA now. So all the medical boards merged into one, and that was like a year after. So I was just lucky, like I was able to sit the exam the year after and then pass the written. So, and during my time, again, it used to be like the fellowship exam was 3 components, your AKT, which is your clinical knowledge. Then you have your KFP, forgot the acronym now, and then OSCE. It used to be in one exam, so you only need to pass 2 out of 3 and be a fellow. But during my time, they've actually separated it. So you need to pass one exam after the other and after the other. Then you get your fellowship. So you cannot move on. If you fail your second exam, you cannot move on to the third exam. So, and it became more expensive during that time. So, and again, I was fortunate, able to pass the fellowship exam. So by 2011, we moved to Melbourne. So I arrived 2007 of December in Queensland and then moved to Melbourne by 2011. I've stayed here since then. So that was my journey in a shorter version. Yeah. So we were
So,
going to the States. I should take the USMLE, but I think, well, God has other plans for me. So let's go to Australia.
yeah, oh, that's amazing. So, so you already did your family medicine practice in the Philippines in Davao, and then you are practicing GP or trainee or under supervision in Queensland, and then in Melbourne you're already qualified.
Well, yes. So
Oh,
before
yep.
I moved, I made sure that I'm already a vocationally registered GP. So that's what it meant.
What's the
Passive.
difference? What's the difference
What's the
of
difference?
your life in the Philippines and in here in Australia?
Well, if you're talking about comforts, yes, there's more comforts in the Philippines, and you're going out your comfort zone, and it's just me, my husband, and my 1-year-old. So it was a very difficult, move, and that was before Christmas, because yes, you need to arrive here before Christmas.
Yeah, January is the start.
Yes, correct. And a role reversal. So my husband was the breadwinner. I was practicing medicine, but not really that, and then we reverse role. We've decided, like, our child is still young. Somebody has to look after our child because I have to work full time.
Yeah.
And then one of its challenges is you're working full time and you're studying at the same time.
Yes.
And the one that you're studying is like, you have no idea what you're studying. There was no Facebook. I think Facebook wasn't there that time yet. There's no groups that you can actually go in and get some information. So what I did is I did some networking with local GPs. Who are not Filipinos. I'm the only there's 3 of us, sorry. There's 3 of us Filipinos there. And then I've teamed up with Sri Lankans, Indians, because they have more resources. So, and what's difficult during the time is if you don't pass your exam, you are sent home. So I've lost friends. I've lost friends who got deregistered because of that. And it's quite heartbreaking, but, but you need to, soldier on. So that's what happened. That's one difficult one. And of course, there's some form of racism. When I started, so my youngest patient was like, he was like, I think 8. And when he came in to see me, it's like, Mom, I want to see a white doctor. So that was my first experience of, oops, all right. But the consult ended well. So he ended up becoming my patient and been coming here. And, you hear stuff like, they called the reception and said, like, I want to book an appointment with an English speaking doctor. Well, we passed IELTS. Our IELTS score is very high. It's like Cambridge level. So it's like, it's like, but, luckily my team at that clinic when I started, they were so good that, they supported me. Even my first supervisor was really, really strict. So before me, he sent home GPs because he didn't like them. They can't work here in Australia. So he was, he was really strict. But it's good I've actually satisfied this supervisor, and he was happy. He's like, all right, Cecile, 3 months, you're good to practice by yourself. So, but yeah, those are the challenges in the beginning. And then moving into a big city, which is Melbourne, I think navigating through rural GP is different from city GP. So rural GP is like, some Bundaberg was like 4.5 hours from Brisbane. And Brisbane is not even comparable to
remote.
Yes, correct. So now here in the big city, and then working with, colleagues who are Australian trained, Australian graduates, and you have to exert a lot of effort to prove to them, yes, I'm your level. I'm a VR, we're the same. So that prompted me to actually train more in things that I don't know. And I think the desire to learn actually helped in being good at your field. So I started doing OC health, I trained in Monash, I started doing women's health, back in the Philippines, I don't think we have an idea about contraception, termination, and being a Catholic country is like we don't even talk about it. But I have to learn and keep up with them. And And then I think, that's how I overcome those challenges. Yeah.
So no support. Was there a reversal of role eventually, or
Yes.
someone who's looking after your?
We just got used to it. I think life got better and we got used to it. So yes, we're
What about
still in the same
daycare?
role right now. Hey,
Daycare. Was he going to day?
I think the daycare part of it is like we've decided, like, look, we have just one child, and if you're gonna go to work, your salary will just be going to primary. I mean,
Yeah.
childcare.
Yeah.
Might as well take care of a child. She's not gonna get sick that much, and there's one parent actually overshadowing our child. So that was a very big decision that we have to make.
Oh, wow. Then so with all the challenges at work, training wise, do you also do on call?
No, back in rural Queensland. So I didn't do much in the sense that by the time, so we did aged care. So once a week we have to go to an aged care facility, on call in the private hospital, because there's only one private hospital. All GPs have to take turns, but I just got lucky because when I got my fellowship, I had to leave, so I didn't do much.
So, well, in terms of financially, how, because there are a lot of people, of a lot of Pinoy doctors who are hesitant to invest on exams, English exam, AMC 1 and 2, and other financial commitments when you come to Australia. What's the difference of your income or earnings back in the Philippines compared to Australia whilst you are training and having one income? Is it sustainable for them? Especially, there are people who are directly messaging me. I have 5 kids. I already have a stable job here in the Philippines. How can I support my 5 kids? And they are going to school too. How is it going to be sustainable and viable?
All right. So comparing it to the income back when I was private practicing, 2 incomes, then moving as a trainee to not even a trainee. So I was a GP already practicing, but under supervision. So when I received the contract, I thought to myself, look, this will be three times as what I'm earning right now. So this is from the Philippines 3 times from what I'm going to earn. But of course, you take into account, yes, you'll be spending in dollars, everything will be converted to dollars. So during my first 3 months, let's say during 2007, that will be around...
Operational clinic niya, Hampstead Medical.
Yun na ba yan?
Oo, galing nga.
We can hear you.
2018. Ayaw niya sabihin niya.
There you go.
Yeah, muted it. Right. So yeah. So where am I now? Yes. So 3 times from what I was earning in the Philippines, but of course there's no comfort, right?
No.
The first 3 months. So after 3 months after supervision, my income doubled. So, but it's not that high. Like, all right, 2007, I would say back in the day, $3,000, let's say a fortnight for 2 weeks, and then fortnight is 2 weeks roughly. So once off supervision, that increased roughly to maybe 4,000 after that. And then once you VR, it's
limitless.
Depends on how hard you work.
Exactly.
Depends on how hard you work. So it comes in phases. You have to invest. Your question was, do I need to invest? Yes, you do need to invest. I mean, the exams itself is really expensive, right? If you don't review and you just take the exam, there's a high chance that you're not gonna pass the exam if you're not gonna review.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have a study partner and you just rely on clinical knowledge, and it's different. Education in the Philippines, different in Australia. I teach medical students, I can clearly say, look, no wonder anybody from the Philippines will have a hard time passing the exam, because we do teach you differently.
Yeah.
So And that's why I wanted to teach, because I want to teach whoever is wanting to come in, and if I can share my knowledge, then let's share this. This is the way that these people do it here. Maybe you want to change how you actually learn or how to review and take the exam. So it's like that. So my curiosity for stuff led me to my other stints, like teaching and training registrars or training residents, and examining for the college, which I've been doing for 11 years now. So it's like, yes. So yes, you need to invest in time, and it's not a race. So it's a marathon. Like I did it in 5 yearly blocks. I told myself, look, let's just enter 5 years, pass that exam in 5 years. So I passed, let's say 3 years. Then we moved to Melbourne. Let's say, all right, let's join a private practice. So when I started, we were bulk billing. So for anybody who doesn't know what bulk billing, it means that the fees that the general practitioner generates is from Medicare. So and if you're doing private practice, it's like Medicare is just a subsidy. So you get to bill more. But that way, so when I moved to Melbourne, I moved to a mixed billing practice or a private practice plus bulk billing. And then after that 5 years that I was there, I was like, I think I want to work for myself. So it's like, you follow company rules and stuff. And during that time, the work environment where I worked for before became different. So it was owned by a GP, but it was bought by a corporate. So everything changed in the actual working area. So what I did after 5 years is just learn about business, attend conference, study anything about business. And after that, I made some networks after that. So I was introduced to a banker, I was introduced to a lawyer, so everything just snowballed after that. And hence I met somebody with, bank said, oh, Cecile, somebody's looking for a business partner. Would you want to speak to this person? And it started with that. And then I learned from that. And then after, it's like, all right, I might just do it by myself. So, and here is Hampstead. So we established it in 2018. That was 8 years after. So, and again, it's not that fast. It's, you have to work through it. You have to learn it. You just don't, hey, I want to buy that practice, because if you don't know anything about it, it's just going to fail, basically. So that was the journey going to a business owner then. So it's a bit slow.
So I have a message here that our meeting is ending in 10 minutes, but I just upgraded it to my pro this morning. So I'm not sure what's happening, why it's still asking me to upgrade. So if we do get cut off in 9 minutes, we probably need to get back in. I'm sorry to do this. We still have a lot of questions to learn from you and your story. Do you mind if we all get back in if we get cut off, Cecile?
Yeah, that's fine. Just send me a link and I'll just click on it.
Same link. So I'm sorry, because I thought I did the right thing this morning. I upgraded to pro to 100 over 100 participants, but anyway, so that's very inspirational. So you learn about business is not taught in any med school, even in Australia. So you did it on your own. Did you attend classes, or did you enroll to a business school?
So what I did is, like, I was looking up to this practice owner that I actually work with. So during that time, he owned 5 clinics, and he was only in his late 40s. So I think he's just a couple of years older than me. So it's like, all right, he's an Australian graduate. And I was learning, how is he attracting doctors? I mean, in that area, that's the only clinic with Australian graduates. Everybody was IMJ. We were the only private or mixed billing clinic during that time. So how did they actually do it? And I started to learn how. And then we met outside of work, meaning we bump into conferences or a business training something, and that's how we actually did it. And I think the networking was important during that time, because I got to know a lot of people. So my colleague in that clinic introduced me to teaching, introduced me to being examiner. So, and that's how I actually got into it. So, and I actually enjoyed it. So.
That's so awesome. It's so inspiring. I might DM you and we'll meet another time and I'll ask business tips. Anyway, for our Pinoy doctors, and what are the rewards of your successes that you enjoy now?
Rewards.
I'm
I
sure
think
there's a
there's a
lot.
There's a lot. Like
3 or top 5?
top 5. What would you say? Are we talking about, let's say, financial rewards? Yes, I believe pretty comfortably.
Financial, personal, what else? You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
So we live pretty comfortably. I get to send my daughter to a grammar school. We bought a house. I think if we're talking about financial, and we've established a clinic, I think that's my baby. That I think that's at the peak right now of my gains. I have there's 3 full-time doctors. We have 2 other registrars, or I think we call them what do you call it? In residency training. And when we have 2 medical students, we have allied, we have a chiropractor, dietitian, 2 full-time nurse, and it's a full running clinic. So I think that's my gain, I would say. I mean, it does entail a lot of hard work, sleepless nights, no vacations.
I'm sure you have a cover.
I do, but it's different when you're not there. Like I'm a control freak.
Yes.
So in regards to my personal life, I have time for my friends. I still go out with my friends that I've made before. We still keep in touch. We can travel anytime we want if there's no school or whatever. And what else? In terms of other things, like I'm able to teach, making connections with great people. Like I think that's the highlight for me, I would say.
Yeah.
And meeting you, Vanessa.
It's all parallel. Our lives are parallel. We have the same journey, and that's why probably we connected, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then surviving COVID was another one. Like,
yes, especially in Melbourne.
We never close. I'm from Melbourne. We have the highest COVID rate. We're able to keep everybody safe at the workplace and continue operating during COVID. Wow. So that was another one. Right. Yeah.
And thank you for your tips during COVID.
You're welcome.
We remain connected. So we got in touch via Facebook group too, right?
Yeah, we did. About COVID.
Any regrets?
Regrets? I can't find anything though. Like I am happy where I am. Like I'm happy I stayed in Australia instead of moving to the US. We went to the US like 5 years ago and said like, I think I'm gonna stay in Australia, because actually 5 years ago my green card got approved, and it's like I actually like that was a lot right. So I actually gave it up because I was already an Australian citizen during that time. Yeah.
What's pieces of advice to anyone who are in the Philippines or elsewhere, aiming, dreaming of the Australian dream?
Pieces of advice. I think what's important is, staying focused and have maybe a 5-year plan. I mean, something that's doable, and focus your energy on it. Being also, as I've said, it's not a race. It is a marathon. As you do marathon, is it, Vanessa? So you don't have to run fast to get there. Eventually, you're going to get there, but you have to be focused on that goal. Otherwise, you get distracted and it's like, all right, you might go somewhere else. And I think doing what I mean is due diligence. Like if you are, relying on forums, yes, it's great, but you really need to learn something about it. Like, in order for you to assess, like, is this for me? Do I need to go here? I mean, there's a lot of rules to navigate. And if you don't do your own research, then it's easily like there are employers in Australia that are not so good. They might be able to, take advantage of you if you don't really look into, let's say, details of your contract or details of your registration. And I did meet a lot of Filipino doctors who got in trouble because of that. I mean, oh, there's this opportunity here, but would it get me to being a VR or a general registrant or whatever? Because there are a lot of, as I've said, people out there that can abuse you, basically. Yeah. And don't be don't be ashamed to ask questions. I always put my hand up. I don't know this. Even for my patients, sorry, I don't know this. And so that there is this, desire to learn. The more you don't know, the more you want to learn. That's me.
Yes.
So, and it got me to where I am, I think. And of course, self-care. So there's always work out there, but your body is your own capital. Like if you're sick, if you're depressed, if you're, if you don't like what you're doing, I mean, there's no point in actually doing all of this. So I think that's my tips. And of course, pay it forward. I love to pay it forward.
That's why we're here.
Where I am right now, I would be happy to actually share whatever, in my own little way. I don't run any company to, sponsor you guys or teach or whatever, but each little question, each little learning is actually very good, especially if you're
so thank you so much, Cecile. This recording will be uploaded in my YouTube. I'll post the link to your Facebook group because you are the admin of that, and you're welcome to join that group, and that's how we got connected. So we've got one more minute. Let's say goodbye. Any goodbyes, Cecile?
Thank you very much for listening. I think, and thank you very much, Vanessa, for allowing me to share my experience. As I've said, this is my first time actually doing an interview, which is like, it's beyond me. So thank you guys for listening. I hope that you
learn a lot.
Inspired.
Get inspired. Thank you. And we'll keep in touch, and we're ready to help.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye.
I need to save first the chat. So we can save them. I don't know